What's your favorite emulsion?
Probably a lotion.
Just a lotion.
Lotion that shall not be named.
I like a lotion.
Oh, my favorite emulsion is the Vanna Cream moisturizer. Shout out to Miss Vanna Cream. What's your favorite? If you say mayonnaise, I'm leaving the studio.
It might be butter. I love butter.
Butter's pretty good.
Butter's really good.
That's one thing we can agree on.
That's one thing we can agree on. Finally, one thing.
God, if there's one thing.
I'm glad we finally found some common ground. I'm glad we can emulsify over this.
Tensions were high over here. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Beauty by the Beaker. I'm Sadie.
I'm Natalie.
And this is the podcast where science gets a hot new makeover.
It sure does. And we're so excited about it.
We are, especially because it's Christmas.
It is officially.
Happy December if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify. You can see our lovely little Christmas setup. Nat decorated for hours.
Endlessly. Yeah. I was up all night.
And it looks amazing.
Thank you. The salon got a little winter makeover.
It did.
It's a winter wonderland.
We just need a snow machine.
For real.
We're going to add that to the budget so that we can have one next year. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. Really great.
Lots to give thanks for.
Yeah, it was pretty chill overall.
Yeah. That's all you can really ask for, especially these days. A chilled Thanksgiving is a successful one.
I agree. How was yours?
It was great. I was a little jet lagged because we had just gotten back from Japan.
Right.
So it was a Costco Thanksgiving, but overall, 10 out of 10.
And how was Japan?
Japan was amazing. Can't say enough good things about it. We're going to have to go on a little BXB trip there someday.
Of course. We'll make it work related.
Make it a write-off or something, however that works. All right, well, what are we talking about for our first episode of December?
I'm glad you asked, obviously.
Imagine if I didn't.
That would make a really short episode.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Nice to check in.
It's good to chat.
Yeah, no. With Thanksgiving just happening and other holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa,
New Year's,
so many.
Valentine's Day,
right around the corner.
Truly, I'm counting down the days.
With all of these holidays, I think a lot of people find themselves at gatherings. Maybe they're doing activities that they don't normally do. Maybe that they don't even really like doing. Maybe they're seeing people that they don't really get along with that well.
Ooh, sometimes.
Maybe these events are the reason that you're coming together with these people, you know?
Yeah.
You're seeing these people because you were both invited to the same person's house or something like that. Maybe that person could be considered an emulsifier of these two groups of people. So it is the holidays, officially. We're in there. We're into it.
Happy season, everybody.
Which for some might mean extra family time. It could mean some extra cooking, baking. For many of us, it's just a time of trying to hold things together.
So true. When am I not?
Today, we are going to discuss a different type of mixture, an emulsion.
My favorite type.
My favorite mix. What kind of mixers do you like? I like rooftop mixers.
Okay, so what is an emulsion?
An emulsion is a mixture of two or more liquids that don't typically mix together.
Interesting. Tell me more.
So this would be something like lotion, conditioner, cream. In cosmetics, those are some examples, but we're going to start with talking more about food emulsions because that's what a lot of our listeners are going to be more familiar with, even if they don't know that yet.
You're going to learn.
So when I say two liquids that don't typically mix together, usually for simplification, we are talking about water and oil. So a very common example of those two liquids together in one bottle that I'm sure a lot of you have observed is salad dressing.
Like a vinaigrette.
Yeah, like a vinaigrette. Did you ever just like go find the bottle and shake it up and like watch it separate like a lava lamp?
Yeah, I was just going to say like a lava lamp.
With an unmixed bottle of vinaigrette, you can pretty distinctly see the two layers. On the bottom, you'll have the vinegar and other water-soluble ingredients. Vinegar is water-soluble.
What does soluble mean?
It means that they mix together.
That it just like dissolves in that thing.
In a vinaigrette, the reason that those two layers exist is because they are not soluble.
Makes sense.
If you're adding other liquids to your vinaigrette, the oils will be mixed together in the top and all the water-soluble ingredients would be at the bottom.
Is that because water's heavier than oil?
Yeah, typically, yeah. It's because of the density. Another way that we could describe these two layers would be our aqueous phase, aqua, water, aqueous phase, and our oil phase. If you shake the two phases mixed together, and what you will see is little oil droplets inside of your vinegar solution. So in this case, your little oil droplets, or your oil phase, as we are now calling it, is dispersed throughout your water phase. That means that your oil phase is your dispersed phase and the water phase is your continuous phase. Or you have formed an oil in water emulsion.
That makes sense. Because dispersed and dissolved are two different things.
They are.
It's not mixed together. It's just evenly distributed throughout.
After a couple minutes, it is going to separate out into two distinct layers again. For a moment, you do have that oil in water emulsion, but it's not stable because it separates. And the reason it does that is because they don't like each other. They want to have as little contact with each other as possible. They separate into two layers so that they only have to touch at that one border, because when they are mixed together, they're touching all over the place.
Yeah, this is a lot of touching.
Yeah.
Too much touching.
And they don't like each other. You may be wondering, why is it that they don't like each other?
I am wondering that.
Why don't oil and water like each other?
What's going on there?
Why don't they mix together?
Has anyone looked into this?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you.
Yay.
In previous episodes, we have talked about how atoms are made out of positive and negative particles. And neutral ones, but molecules are formed when electrons, or those negative particles, are shared or stolen from other atoms.
Remember that custody agreement?
Exactly. So just like on a number scale, the positives and negatives cancel each other out.
Yeah.
So if you have +5 and -5, you net 0. But when molecules are formed and the electrons are either stolen or shared, then they're losing just a negative, but the positive value stays the same. So the one that takes the electron will become negative, and the one that loses an electron will become positive. With water, H2O, which is oxygen and 2 hydrogens. This is an example where they are sharing the electrons, but they don't share them equally. Oxygen is a much bigger atom than hydrogen is. Hydrogen is the smallest atom with only one little proton in the middle. So it doesn't have much pull for that electron, meaning that the oxygen is pulling on that electron more.
It's basically like if my dog, who's a golden retriever, was playing tug of war with Owen.
Yes, exactly.
My dog, who's a golden, is going to have a lot more pull than Owen, who weighs 6 pounds.
That's a perfect example. Yeah, it is an actual pull. The example that I was going to say, which is honestly not as good. It's like if you had a rope and you tied 3 knots in it, one in the middle and one on each end. If you were to pick up just the knot in the middle, then the 2 ends would kind of fall together and it would make kind of a V shape. That is because you are pulling it up, but then gravity is pushing the other 2 down, which brings them closer together.
Yeah.
Just by nature. It doesn't stay a straight line when you pick it up. This is kind of the same thing. Since oxygen is pulling on it, those 2 hydrogens bend and get kind of closer together because they're getting pulled. And we have a term for this. It's polar. Yeah.
I love that, actually. It works out really nicely.
Yeah. It is spelled POLAR.
Like polar bear. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. Electrons moving around and being shared and all of this. It's really important for basically just everything.
For existence.
Yeah. That change in like positive and negative is what contributes to things like magnets working. It's how like electricity works. This positive and negative balance is very important for, everything. The North and South Pole.
I was just going to say the Earth spinning.
Yeah, because the Earth is essentially just one giant magnet. That's how a compass works. But now I've gotten way too far off track.
A conversation for another day.
Yeah. So water, the oxygen is slightly negative and the hydrogens are slightly positive because they have less custody of that electron.
Right. Less custody of the rope.
Owen and Gimli might be sharing the rope, but they're not really sharing the rope.
Gimli's running around with the rope and Owen is trailing behind.
Exactly. So water is kind of like a magnet because it has a positive end and a negative end. So the positive is attracted to negative, negative is attracted to positive. It's a little magnet, and what do magnets want to do?
They want to stick together.
They sure do.
Those magnets be loving each other.
Oil is not polar. And again, when I say polar, it means there's unequal sharing of an electron. If it's non-polar, all of the charge is distributed equally throughout the entire molecule. These do have interactions with other molecules, but they are different and they're not as strong. That water doesn't have the same attraction for the oil as it does the other water molecules. Water is like a bunch of little magnets. And if you've ever played with like those little magnetic balls or something, they all stick to each other.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that.
It's basically like if you were in a room and like there were people you knew and people you didn't know, you're probably going to like try to go find your friends and talk to them. So you might do some moving around and then slowly group up with the people you know versus the people you don't.
As soon as you stop putting energy into it, it's going to start to try to get back to the state that it's comfortable in. So all the magnets are going to start sticking back together. As we all know, magnets don't stick to things that are not magnetic. First, you're going to start to see like oil bubbles forming. That's because as the water molecules start to stick together, the oil is kind of just pushed aside and it collects into these little groups. And eventually those bubbles combine to get bigger and bigger until they're all just at the top in one big group.
It found its friends.
Yeah. The reason it starts as bubbles is because a sphere is the shape that has the least amount of surface area per volume. Basically, it's the laziest shape.
Shout out to spheres for real. It's like just the easiest to get into.
Yeah.
Imagine if they collected into like a rectangle or a trapezoid or something. That'd be sick.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you were to form a ring around a group of people, it would take a lot fewer people to make the ring than would fit inside of that ring.
Right.
You could make a ring of like 5 people holding hands, but you could fit way more than 5 people inside of that ring. You kind of brought this up earlier, but you might notice at some of these events or holiday parties that you go to, maybe you have like a friend that's trying to get like 2 friend groups to come together for their holiday event or something. Or maybe you have, family members that you don't really get along with that well, but you're all invited to the same dinner. You will often find people kind of like congregating, gravitating toward the people that they know and just kind of forming individual groups. Sometimes they'll even go in like a different room to minimize contact with each other.
Yeah.
So that there's like the least amount of overlap possible. And it's just because, sometimes it's hard to get people to mix.
It can be difficult.
It can be difficult.
Depending on the people.
Yeah. Maybe someone could suggest a game or something and you could get people to come together to play a game. Emulsifier? We don't know yet.
I feel like grandparents are the best example of emulsifiers.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we're only here because of them.
That's true.
Like they brought us together. We're here to make Nana and Grandpa happy.
We can stabilize mixtures with something called emulsifiers. We've been hinting at that. Sounds scary.
It does.
It's not. What an emulsifier is essentially one singular stable molecule that has one side of it that likes water and is attracted to water, and one side of it that is attracted to oil. Because this one molecule likes both of those phases, when we mix them together, the emulsifier has the opportunity to bind with both the oil and the water.
It's literally just like a grandparent.
Literally.
You might hate your cousin, but you're going to come together for Grandpa.
If you mix it up and you have all your bubbles in there, that molecule then can hold on to the water and keep those bubbles all dispersed throughout. There's a more specific name for these bubbles. and those are called micelles.
Ooh,
So getting a little technical here, but emulsifiers work by forming something called a micelle. A micelle is a spherical formation. Again, spheres are lazy, where the oil is on the inside, and then the emulsifier creates a boundary between the oil and water.
So they don't have to interact.
Yeah.
They hate it.
And that oil-loving side of the molecule faces inside toward the oil on the inside, and the water-loving part of the molecule faces outside. It kind of makes like a little shield around it. If a stable micelle is formed, then the oil bubble can exist happily in the water because it's surrounded by water-loving exterior.
It's like it's looking out at the water and doesn't actually have to interact with it, but it can see it.
Yeah, it's like being in a bubble in the ocean.
Like a submarine?
Yeah.
But a clear submarine. Oh, can you imagine a fully clear submarine?
That would be really fun.
And also really scary.
It would be really scary. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go down very far. I wouldn't want to go down at all, actually. I'm really scared of the ocean.
Have a tiny window.
Miss me with a submarine.
Oh, I'm not going in a submarine. Would you go in a shark cage?
I'm more likely to do that than a submarine.
Same. Except for if the chain snaps and then you go 47
meters down. Has that ever
meters
actually
down.
happened?
Let's look it up.
Factually?
Has a shark cage.
I feel like it hasn't.
It says it's never been dropped in the sense of being detached and falling to the seafloor, but cages have been damaged or breached by sharks. And in one instance, a boat carrying a cage capsized, causing it to sink. Can you imagine?
That'd be so scary. You're in a cage and the boat starts sinking.
Where are you supposed to go? And there are sharks around because you just chummed the water.
Yeah, that's spooky. An emulsion, then, is when we have a bunch of those little microscopic oil bubbles surrounded by that little transitional phase shield inside of water. The smaller and the more uniform those oil bubbles are, the more stable the emulsion is going to be.
What's the benefit of being able to have oil inside of water from a product standpoint?
Well, there are different benefits that you can get from oil-soluble ingredients and water-soluble ingredients. Salad dressing is one food emulsion, but another really common one is something like milk.
I actually did not know milk was an emulsion.
Yeah, it's milk, fat, and water.
Oh. What's the emulsifier in it?
The proteins and stuff.
I know so little about milk, so that's crazy.
Technically, some people classify it as like a colloid, which is also what your blood is.
What about like mayonnaise?
Mayonnaise is an emulsion.
Yeah.
That's a full-on emulsion. The reason we like it is because we get the benefit of moisturizing our sandwiches or whatever we're using it for. You know?
Don't ever
it literally is, though. Like,
I know, but I already hate mayonnaise.
That's true.
So to hear that it is bread moisturizer is just like a little bit distressing.
That is true. But if you don't have mayo on a sandwich, it's dry.
Unless you add mustard.
I do love mustard.
I love mustard. That's one thing we can agree on.
And guess what mustard is?
An emulsion.
An emulsifier.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I'm like thinking of every, because I'm like, oh, potato salad. Like, what are you emulsifying in that? Probably not. Technically. Whatever. Sometimes in products you want both oils and you want water.
Yeah, it's mostly just so that one product can have the benefit of both things.
Yeah.
And also by mixing them together, you can form those new textures. If you put water and oil on a sandwich, it's not going to be the same as mayo.
Yep.
The other little thing that I was going to add, since we talked about micelles, if that is ringing any bells, it's probably because you've heard of something like micellar water. And this essentially has these emulsifiers in it. It is able to form micelles with the oil on your skin. It's water with emulsifiers. When you apply it to your skin, the emulsifier attaches to the oil and washes it off. The oil usually being makeup, because a lot of makeup is oil-based.
You can rinse it off because it has that water-loving aspect to it. So that's why it can pull off the oil, but then you can rinse it off with water. That's how your shampoo works too.
Exactly.
That's how it cleans your scalp.
Emulsifiers are a type of surfactant, which is a cleansing thing. We'll talk about it more in a future episode, but let's go back to salad dressing. We can and do take mixtures like this all the time and stabilize them with emulsifiers. Mm-hmm. So a common food emulsifier is egg, especially the egg yolk. And that's because it contains a mixture of different water-loving and oil-loving proteins. Also a molecule called lecithin, which is both oil and water loving. So if we take our oil and vinegar mixture and we add an egg to it and we mix it all together, we get mayo.
Ew.
Sort of, kind of. It's not quite as simple as just putting an egg into your vinaigrette and shaking it up. That's not really gonna just give you mayo. It's gonna give you an eggy vinaigrette.
Yeah.
Because emulsifiers are not just magical unifiers. We must overcome surface tension.
There's a little work that's gotta be put into it first.
So let's talk for a moment about surface tension. Because it's cool. And I like it.
And that's what we do here.
And because surface tension plays a really big role in cosmetic formulation. Essentially, it is a measurement of how strongly the molecules of a liquid are being held together, how much they're attracted to each other.
Right.
We mentioned that water is very attracted to water molecules because it's like little magnets.
Do they have the hots for each other or not?
All liquids do have some attraction for other molecules within the liquid. That's why it is a liquid.
Right.
Yeah. If they weren't attracted to each other, if they didn't want to be next to each other, then they would be a gas.
Yeah.
But because they're all...
are so dramatic.
Literally, yeah. But because they're all kind of contained in like one thing that you can perceive as a liquid, they are somewhat attracted to each other.
And if they really liked each other, they'd be a solid.
So true. Yeah. The surface tension of a liquid can change based on temperature, pressure that's applied, or additional things being mixed into the solution, addition of other types of molecules. Water is a very good example of how surface tension can change with temperature. As we have all seen, if you heat water up, it boils and it vaporizes and becomes a gas. The molecules are less attracted to each other as you heat it up. Therefore, they become a gas. If you decrease the temperature of water, the surface tension will increase and it gets harder. It becomes an ice.
Let me introduce you to an ice cube.
Yeah, quite obvious increase in surface tension. But water at room temperature does have a relatively high surface tension because of its polarity or positive and negative attraction to other water molecules. There are a lot of really good life examples of the surface tension of water that you can just kind of see. It's the reason that it can hurt to like slap water or belly flop. It's because the water's surface tension. And it's also the reason why you can fill water like above a glass and it can make a little bit of a bubble. Those water molecules are more attracted to each other to a certain point than,
Or like raindrops on a window.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Forming that like bubble. It's because they're attracted to each other and they group up like that. My notes then say water is very polar, which is also a great Christmas tie-in, North Polar.
Your notes are like, make joke, North Polar. Or the worst Christmas movie to exist, The Polar Express.
That movie is crazy. Overcoming surface tension, I think, could be better described by going back to our family gathering scenario. So imagine you're going to a big Thanksgiving dinner. Maybe you just did go to a big Thanksgiving dinner with your family and you have a pretty well-known, strong political divide in your family. I'm talking like eyebrow piercings versus athletic polos.
We're going to need something to pull us together here.
Yeah. Chances are, if measures aren't put into place, there's going to be separation of these groups.
Yeah.
Like-minded people are going to congregate.
All the eyebrow piercings on one side of the room, golfers on the other.
It does happen though, you know? Where you're like, did you hear what Uncle said?
Yeah.
There are ways that you can get... What?
Did you hear what Uncle said?
I didn't want to use any of my uncle's names.
It's also, did you hear what our uncle said? It's just, did you hear what uncle said? Anyway, sorry.
So there are things that you can do to get these two groups of people to come together, but you do have to be somewhat strategic about it. For example, you could make a seating chart. That way you can put people next to other people who they don't have something in common with, and then they can get to know each other. And nothing could go wrong.
That sounds like a pretty positive Thanksgiving to me.
Yeah. So in this case, your seating chart would be like your primary emulsifier.
Yeah.
Dispersing everybody.
Is uncle next to me or?
Uncle's between you and I.
Yeah.
And maybe there are some additional things that we could do as well to make this unification more effective and make it last longer. Mm-hmm. Like maybe you could give people talking points to follow. And I actually do bring this up because I know someone who attends family gatherings that this specific host does not only have a seating chart of small tables, but also assigns a table leader who has topics that they can discuss. And the leader is in charge of making sure that the table conversation stays on those points.
If I get assigned to be leader at Thanksgiving dinner, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I have to imagine that this host had a really bad experience with free conversation.
Like, all right, we're regulating this.
Unorganized conversation is done.
No, we're finished. You can no longer have your own
Stay on
thoughts.
topic. Yeah, so if we're trying to get this specific group of people to hang out after dinner, we can choose our talking points, but we might want to be a little bit strategic about those talking points.
Yeah.
You could add questions about like the 2020 election, but that's probably going to do more harm than good.
Yeah.
So what you're going to want to do is look for things that these two groups have in common and ask about those types of things so that you can lessen the tensions between the two.
That might be a good idea.
Why is this important for emulsions? Because in order to form a stable emulsion, we need to be able to decrease the attraction between those water molecules.
They love each other. It's like they're going to have to put uncle in between Nat and I because otherwise the yapping will do at that Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, I put water is an echo chamber.
Truly.
If you have too many waters in there all congregating, they're going to just start saying the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
You need to break it up.
Are we water?
So how do we do this? We decrease the surface tension. So when we're making emulsions, we will often make them at high temperatures. That is because emulsions form better if the surface tension of the water is decreased, which it is at a high temperature. Also, the reason that emulsions, especially cosmetic emulsions, which are expected to be stable at room temperature for 2 years, there's a reason they have so many other ingredients other than just oil and water. Most of the time, your oil phase is going to contain oils that are meant for occlusiveness or, like locking in moisture and stuff. There's also going to be emulsifiers in that phase. And then your water phase, a lot of what you're adding to that is to make the water less watery. So you're adding things like preservatives, obviously, but then things like glycols, which if you look at an ingredient list on a product, you might see things that end in glycol. Those are often water-soluble ingredients, but they have lower polarities than water, so they can decrease the overall polarity of the water and glycol solution.
Yeah, they kind of like chill water out a little bit.
Exactly, yeah. Like I said, water's an echo chamber. If you can get some moderate people in there, then we could chill it out.
Here come the moderates.
Exactly.
Oh, here come the socially liberal, fiscally conservatives.
Yeah, so like those things aren't going to form entire emulsions, but they can help stabilize emulsions by making the oil and water more similar to each other. Because essentially, if you want to get them to mix together,
you got to find some common ground.
You got to find some common ground. Yeah. So another thing that we can do to help stabilize these emulsions a little bit is just adding things to the water or oil that increase the viscosity or make it thicker. Because if there's less ability for the molecules to flow around, there's less ability for them to separate. If you make it thicker, they just can't move as much. So
bind them down.
People will add gums like xanthan gum, guars, or things like carbomer or polymers that help to just increase viscosity, which can also stabilize your emulsion overall.
And sometimes they also help with feel as well.
Yeah.
They can like change the feel of the product.
Yeah.
Which can be beneficial.
I mentioned you can increase viscosity with water or oil, but a lot of oil-based ingredients that increase viscosity also give a heavier, oilier feel. So that can be beneficial for something if you want that feeling. But there are also a lot of polymers that have like nice silky textures that can give you that same increase in viscosity, but through your continuous phase or your water phase and not your oil phase. I mentioned just now continuous water phase and the dispersed oil phase. What I have mostly been talking about, water is on the outside. If water is your continuous phase, that is an oil in water emulsion. You can also have these reversed. If you're making one of these, then your oil is the continuous phase and your water is the droplets dispersed throughout it.
So it's the water now is inside the bubble looking out at all the oil.
Yeah. And that is a reverse micelle.
Flip it and reverse it.
Emulsions, water and oil versus oil and water. The way that I first kind of thought about it is kind of like the difference between a chocolate chip cookie and a chocolate cookie with white chocolate chips in it. They're both cookies, but they're going to taste pretty different.
Yep.
Kind of just flipped.
Yeah. If you just pretended like the chocolate chips were like, suspend your belief for a second.
Yeah, pretend like it's...
We're talking about color theory here.
Yeah,
they taste different. They have different properties.
Yeah.
They're both cookies.
Different types of emulsifiers need to be used to create these types of emulsions because now our water is on the inside. So you have to create a reverse micelle. This means you have water and your water-loving end of the molecule is facing inside and the oil-loving part is facing outside. You might be thinking, why can you not just use the same one for both?
I was thinking that.
Why does it not?
Why can't they flip?
That is a good question. And I don't really know why, but there is a way to determine what kind of micelles these do form. And that is with something called an HLB value, which we won't get super into because unless you're formulating, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And even a lot of formulators don't think it matters, which it does, but I'll let you figure that out. An HLB value is the hydrophilic lipophilic balance. Lipophilic is oil. Basically, it's just a measurement of, yes, this molecule likes oil and water, but it likes one of them more.
Yeah, like which one does it prefer?
Yeah, it's actually been around since I think the 60s or something.
Oh, wow.
It's a long time. It's not as popular now as it used to be because a lot of other things go into it. It's not just your primary emulsifier, like I said. The seating chart is not going to just make everyone come together happily.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other ingredients that need to be added to make sure that the unification is successful. So we've given it this number, basically rating it on a scale of likes water more, likes oil more.
On a scale from water to oil, which value are you?
Exactly. Whichever one it likes more needs to be on the outside. The micelles will only form correctly if the emulsifier is more attracted to the continuous phase. So if you're trying to make an emulsion that is oil in water, you need to use an emulsifier that likes water slightly more. If you're trying to make water in oil emulsion, then you need to use an emulsifier that likes oil a little bit more. Things like lotion, sunscreen can be either a regular emulsion or a reverse emulsion. As a consumer, you are going to experience more of the properties of the continuous phase.
Yeah.
So if a product has water resistance, it's very likely a water in oil emulsion because the oil is the continuous phase, giving it that water resistance. Things that are oil in water emulsions, so oil is on the inside, mayonnaise, milk, conditioner.
Yeah.
You want the water on the outside so that it rinses off. A lot of lotions and creams and stuff. People like the feeling of the water on the outside a little bit more. It dries down a little bit more.
And there are like some serums that are technically like they have emulsifiers in them.
Yeah. Common examples of water in oil emulsions or products that are going to feel more oily because oil is the continuous phase are a lot of makeups, foundation, sunscreen, oftentimes is, especially if it's mineral based, like a zinc sunscreen, butter. Crude oil is an emulsion.
Wow.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Blood is a colloid, but it's kind of an emulsion.
Fascinating.
I just wanted to give you a little, it is funny because when I started this episode, I was like, how am I going to be able to talk about emulsions for a full episode? But it definitely is one where I had to cut back quite a bit because, I mean, I do want to do, there's a lot of episodes I'd like to do just like about emulsions, but I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of an explanation because I hear a lot of like emulsifier free marketing, and I think a lot of people don't even know what an emulsion is.
Yeah.
Hopefully this helps to kind of give you like some understanding of how to recognize what an emulsion looks like, what it can look like.
And what it might feel like.
Yeah.
Too. And why certain products feel differently than others.
Exactly. A hollandaise, that's an emulsion.
Wow. Lots of sauces.
Lots of sauces, yeah.
I love that. Well, thanks so much for teaching us all about emulsions.
Yeah, and hopefully if you guys are attending any family events and there are any tensions, hopefully you do have some good emulsifiers to calm them down.
And maybe make it one of your goals this holiday season to be an emulsifier.
Yeah.
Bring some people together.
Yeah.
Be a little more social. I need to do that for sure.
Build some bridges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys next week for another episode. But until then, you can find us on our social medias. I am at SadieBXB.
And I'm Nat BXB.
And together we are at BeakerX.
Everywhere.
Literally everywhere. And if you want to see our show notes and some more information about emulsifiers, you can go to our website, beautyxbeaker.com. And yeah, now I'm going to go research HLB values.
Yes, please do. It's very interesting.
You know me. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Okay.